Today is April 28th, my brother Kevin's birthday. He would have been 50 today. It's hard to believe that he has now been gone from us for 19 years. In sending out these 5 photos a day to you all, it has been such a great way to look back at so many of the times we've all had together. Our group started out with just some guys at FEHS simply focused around playing sports and cheering for sports with a loud crowd, and of course those flying tortillas. We all talk about Kevin as the glue that kept us all together, the everyone's best man. But he was also the guy that kind of brought us all together in the first place. Interesting how it was the one guy who didn't even play a sport in high school who made it all happen. That first group was Kevin's guys, and they were all in his senior class of 1988. Watts, Ingar, Anderson, Myers, Canner were just a few. As for myself, well, I was the one who had to drive to school every day, and those guys simply became my group too. When they all graduated, I wondered, how can my senior year ever compare to that? You see, there was hanging out at Troy's bachelor pad. I mean, this place had a pool table, an Atari, and his dad's Playboys. There was watching the Lakers versus the Celtics, playing basketball at Edison Rec Center, toilet papering Jeff Soper's house, Thursday night flag football, and rooting in that loud crowd with some completely obnoxious and crude cheers, which, looking back now, I have no idea how they let us get away with half of what we did for Kevin Anderson during the basketball season. How could anything compare to that? And so in the fall of '88, I set off for my senior year. I would catch a ride to school, this time with Winterstein, while listening to U2's Joshua Tree in the car. And lo and behold, I soon found a new cast of equally obnoxious but perfect misfits. Sports brought many of us together. Doug and I had an incredible ride with our football season that year. And then Bickle, Carter, Twan, and myself had a blast on the bench for basketball of the year. Probably more fun than Louie and Doug had on the court. Plus I met other misfits, like a guy with backward elbows named Jim who drove a Ranchero, listened to hardcore punk, but weirdly was really into Mickey Mouse. Plus a short guy in ASB with a giant head who no one ever thought he would ever even date a girl named Frankie. And so it turned out that this senior year was equally as epic. So there we were. Kevin had his group and I had mine, but soon shared experiences would blend them both into one. There were so many of these experiences. Some were epic, like houseboats on Lake Mojave. Watts and Kevin dreamed of renting a houseboat after seeing one parked every day just past the front entrance of the Orange County Fair. Kevin worked not just for that one year, but so many, loving the job and the people he met where he simply just picked up trash. He would find ways to make it fun, like sneaking away into the flower and garden building to listen to the organist. I think that is when he may have been most happy in life. A job he enjoyed, saving money for road trips, ranking movies he watched in his journal. God, how he loved everything about movies. The movies themselves, but the experience of going to the theater, waiting in line. The first guy I ever really remember talking about going to a movie by himself. Dunkfests were epic. We thought this was our NBA championships. There was so much to do to plan these, and Kevin relished every part of it. The teams, the shirts, the taping the street off. He took so much pride in some of the simplest things. His 2 favorite? Making a new sign for the garage door every tournament. And then, on the day of, he would wake early and go get donuts for everybody just because he wanted everybody to have a good time.
I mean, I always go back to the 12 because that was my favorite tournament of all time because I won it. And we were called the doormats and the welcoming mat and all that type of stuff. So basically, we do it every year because I am so proud of just putting on something where everybody can get together, have a lot of fun. We don't go anywhere. We're out here in front of the house. You know, it's not all that expensive. We have a great time. And, you know, all this stuff is just ideas that are come up out of the blue like that. So.
Pelican crew was epic. It was the one thing that Kevin kind of really defined himself as, the manager of this team. An absolutely stupid yet hilarious news segment on Inside Edition led to the naming of this team, which grew from a fun and frivolous first season to something much bigger for him and so many of the guys on that team.
We are the Pelican crew, baby, and we are the law in this town.
To this day, I doubt any of us see a flamingo and not think of Kevin. Those pink birds all have a spot somewhere in our homes and serve as a reminder of not just Kevin, but of the group and how much we all meant to each other. Besides those epic shared experiences, there were so many others, often smaller, often sometimes forgotten, but still part of what made us all into the group of who we are. Those were lunches at Togo's, road trips for college football, Earl Weaver computer baseball, New Year's Day bowl game marathons, poker and Quiz FM at my parents' house, delivering photo calendars every Christmas morning, having Star Wars while playing Tecmo Bowl upstairs in our room, rocking out to Neil Diamond and Air Supply, working staff pro events and concerts, and who could forget Two Bros. We all share some of those collective memories, but I think what is so dear to me, and maybe to many of you as well, are those individual stories each of us have with Kevin. Was it a road trip he took with you? Was it a party you were at where he just talked and listened to you? For me, there are so many, too many. And to be honest, it makes me sad when I think about the ones which will slip away with my memory over time. This is why I value those photos so much. They connect me back to my grandparents' garage and building our version of Las Vegas, to the beach where we spent so many summers growing up, to the cross-country road trip in a station wagon our family took, to the countless number of college football games of mine that it seemed like he was always there on the sideline afterwards. These are my memories. For the ladies on the list, you have all met your husbands at different points of this group's evolution. Some more recent, while others were there back in the beginning, watching Dunk Fest, Pelican Crew tournaments, and also taking part in Hearts Fests and houseboats. But through it all, you've been here for us and become part of us. Kevin, more than anyone, seemed to make you all just simply feel welcome. For me, I still remember the first time Andrea came down to Southern California to surprise me, really early in our relationship. And although Bickle and Stein distracted me by getting supplies for the tailgate, it was Kevin who worked with Andrea to plan it all. You see, he was the guy you would turn to for advice or for help, because he excelled in one thing more than all of us really had, and that's empathy. He just cared so much for others. It's hard not to think about what he has missed out in those 19 years, but also, to be selfish, what we all missed without having him in our lives. We missed Old Man Pelican Crew 40 and over tournaments. We missed a Dunkfest reunion, which would have seen Bickle exit in early with another horrific leg injury. We missed Kevin most likely starting a podcast about movies with Jim and Frank or baseball with Watson Canner. And when I said that he was everybody's best man, for one he couldn't. Steven, he was the best man you should have had. And for Mikey and Shane, plus Alex and Rachel, they will miss a life without having an uncle who would have always been there for them. He missed seeing all of our children, the kids who not that long ago seemed to be the little people we lugged around in car seats and are now growing into young adults themselves and starting their own lives and memories. Watching our own children become friends with one another and share our same love of this group is something that Kevin would have relished and been so proud of. So these 5 photos, I love doing them. At times I wonder, will I have enough to keep sharing during this pandemic? And yeah, sooner or later, I'm going to run out. I got 2 things that'll keep me going. 1, I have a scanner and boxes of old photos and negatives that I keep seeming to find more and more of. And 2, I know when this is all over, we'll once again find those opportunities to hang out and make more new memories, new vacations, new stories, and even one day, our own kids' weddings to attend, where we will be begging the DJ to finish every one of those with a little Sinatra's New York, New York. And as for pictures of Kevin, unfortunately, I am going to run out of those one day. I hope, though, that we can still tell those stories and make sure ourselves and our kids will always feel like he is still here with us. For us and our families, take a moment to think about him today and for many days in the future. Crack open a ding-dong, put on an episode of Cheers or Field of Dreams, and simply just reminisce a little. And for Kevin, what can I give him on his birthday? Well, I still feel I want to simply just say thank you. Thanks for more than I could ever tell you if you were still here. So I'll just say this. Thanks for being there for me and with me. You'll always be part of me.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? All those nights when you've got no lights, the check is in the mail, and your little angel hung the cat up by its tail, and your third fiancé didn't show. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. Roll out of bed, Mr. Coffee's dead. The morning's looking bright. And your shrink ran off to Europe and didn't even write. And your husband wants to be a girl. Be glad there's one place in the world where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna go where people know people are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.